Dr. David Greene, founder and CEO of R3 Stem Cell International. Today we're discussing amniotic stem cell therapy. What do we mean by amniotic? Well, we're talking about amniotic fluid, which is the viscous fluid that surrounds the fetus during development. For instance, when a woman's water breaks, that's amniotic fluid that comes out, okay? Now, amniotic fluid has been recognized since the 1930s as having really excellent qualities to help with various medical conditions. So, what's in amniotic fluid? Well, amniotic fluid contains significant amounts of hyaluronic acid, which is the motor oil of our joints, and there's a lot of hyaluronic acid in our skin, okay? There's a significant amount of regenerative elements known as cytokines, growth factors, secretomes. There's billions of exosomes in amniotic fluid. We have a separate video on exosomes. Exosomes are stem cell byproducts that are actually very active in cell-to-cell communication and very helpful in repair, regeneration of damaged tissue. There are also a significant amount of stem cells in amniotic fluid. Are there tons of stem cells in amniotic fluid? Not really, not when you compare it to umbilical cord tissue, which has many millions. It does have hundreds of thousands of stem cells though. So, when you look at an amniotic stem cell therapy, there are plenty of people who say that, oh, those biologics, that tissue doesn't have any live cells in it. Well, that's sort of right and sort of not. It's not black and white. Here's why. In the United States, the way that this fluid, the birth tissue fluid, such as amniotic fluid, is obtained is after a scheduled C-section. When you're talking about a scheduled C-section, there's months ahead of the scheduled C-section where you can do a consent from the mother, you can do infectious disease screening, looking at medical history to see if there's risk factors involved, to see if the woman truly is a candidate to be the donor. Now, a scheduled C-section is very straightforward. The procedure's performed, the mother's fine, the baby's fine. Typically, that amniotic fluid is discarded as medical waste. But in this scenario, it's not. It goes in a sterile container right to our FDA-regulated lab where it can be processed according to FDA regulations. And those regulations are very strict. Our quality assurance at our labs is top-notch. We have clean rooms, we have ISO 5 certification, CGMP compliant. It's really a rigorous process, and it does get screened for all types of infectious diseases. At the end of the process, the amniotic fluid gets cryogenically frozen. Now, it stays cryogenically frozen in a quarantine freezer until all those infectious disease tests come back. Assuming they're all negative, then the cryogenic frozen vials with amniotic fluid can be used in procedures. We use them throughout the United States, internationally at our centers. We transport the amniotic fluid on dry ice to keep it cryogenically frozen, and you only need about 20 minutes before a procedure to thaw it out, okay? Now, amniotic fluid can be administered to a patient either through an injection. It works amazingly well for joint injections, for ligament injuries, tendinitis, all types of musculoskeletal injuries. It also has been shown to work extremely well for neurologic issues. We mentioned orthopedic, autoimmune conditions, organ failure like lung or kidney, heart. It can work great for diabetes as well. So how do they work? Well, one of the things that they showed at the Wake Forest Institute of Regenerative Medicine is that the stem cells that are in amniotic fluid are really close to being what's called pluripotent. They're not pluripotent, and they're also not embryonic stem cells, but they're like, the way Wake Forest described it is that they're close to pluripotent, meaning they can turn into so many different cell types in the body that it's a revolutionary opportunity when it comes to regenerative medicine. So when you look at competitors out in the market, once again, they'll start saying, oh, it's not a stem cell therapy. Amniotic fluid, by the time it's processed, doesn't have any live cells in it. What you need to understand is that a lot of labs in the United States and in other countries, when they're processing the amniotic fluid, they will radiate the tissue. Why would you do that? Radiation kills all types of live cells. Well, labs will do that because it's less expensive for them to process, and they want to cut corners. Our labs don't do that. Radiation is not mandatory. The FDA does not require it. If you don't radiate, you can end up with a virtual orchestra of regenerative elements. What do I mean by that? Like I said, there's a lot of stem cells, there's exosomes, cytokines, growth factors. All these things that I'm mentioning are basically each a section in the orchestra. And when they come together to offer repair and regeneration, the sum is much greater than the parts, okay? So R3 Stem Cell has centers all over the world. United States, Mexico, Pakistan, Honduras. We have multiple centers in Pakistan. Our headquarters is in Islamabad. We also have a center in Lahore, Faisalabad, and one upcoming in Karachi. We do offer a free consultation for those interested in seeing if you or a loved one is a candidate for regenerative medicine. Give us a call today at 051-889-6711. You can also visit us at the Islamabad headquarters, which is located in the Jangay Multiplex near Golra Moor, H13, Islamabad. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to helping you.